yesterday I had more trolls intentionally trying to trigger me by saying the phrase that I was saying was triggering for me, the God bless. And I also had a few people being insensitive, saying something like, hey, do you even know the difference between like what a trigger is and just not liking something? And just ignore it when people say it. And that's funny because that's also something that people can say to trauma survivors. And it's also something that people say to those of us who are queer when people are leaving hate comments and homophobia and queerphobia and transphobia. And it's not something you can just ignore when it hurts really deeply and it goes in there, or at least for many of us, it's not. But if the person who was saying just, do you know the difference between a trigger and being upset, if they had just looked at my bio, they would have seen that I'm a torture survivor. And I don't feel like I should have to explain every single time, but maybe I do for new watchers, that my abusers were part of intergenerational, interconnected cults, and they used religion within the abuse and torture to justify the torture, the rape of me and other kids. They used both God and Satan and calling on supposedly that power to murder and torture and rape. And it is infused with trauma for me. I also have religious trauma just from being queer in a church community that doesn't accept that or didn't accept it, and by having many of the members be part of the rape and torture, like even if they weren't part of the cult, which some of them were the ones who bought me and other kids for child prostitution. And I don't think it's okay to tell someone else about their own trauma. Like, we know our own trauma best and our own triggers. And to be so insensitive to just say, ignore something when you don't know what someone else has gone through. And I feel like I have to do this almost every time I talk about God and religious texts and songs being used as part of the torture and rape with us kids, where people who are religious have to jump in and say, like, not all Christianity or not all God or not all religious people. And yeah, I know that, but pushing religion in my face when I'm saying, hey, it's a trigger and I have trauma, it pushes me even farther away, and it definitely triggers my trauma, and it's not using compassion. I hope that we can try and have more compassion with each other.